The Fed15 podcast is presented by Serving Those Who Serve, a fiduciary, fee-based financial planning firm serving federal government employees and retirees all over the country. This podcast is for informational purposes only and is not intended to be taken as financial advice. All listeners should consult their personal advisors before taking any action. The opinions expressed by our hosts are their own and do not reflect the views, policies, or position of either Raymond James or Serving Those Who Serve. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to a new episode of the Fed15 podcast presented by Serving Those Who Serve. Each week, we will discuss the latest news and info that feds need to know in 15 minutes or less. So whether you're a seasoned federal employee or whether you're just starting out in your career, Fed15 has got you covered. Grab your coffee, throw on a cozy sweater because I know temperatures are getting down. Kick back and we will tell you what you need to know but might have missed throughout the week. We are your hosts, Katelyn Murray, and
I'm Dan Sipe.
Absolutely none other, the man, the myth, the legend. Dan
Oh, yes, all those things.
So Dan, how you hanging in there? I am bundled up. The cold weather has arrived finally. It was 85 last week.
You're in the South-ish. Come on.
In theory, it should be warmer, but we've woken up to frost for 2 days in a row now, so it's tough.
Now, see, I'm a cold weather guy.
Are you?
Know, I love it. My kids are polar bears. So my son will go to stick and shoot, which is kind of pick up hockey, and he'll play in shorts.
Oh, really? Oh my gosh.
So yeah, we're definitely autumn people.
Gotcha.
So when that air turns crisp, I love it. So
yeah.
Yep. My wife on the other hand is throw another chair on the fire.
Yeah. Yes, that is me. That is me. I definitely prefer the warm, but it is kind of nice, changing in the seasons. Always thankful for that here in Virginia to have the changing. And we got some pretty leaf colors this year, I think, because autumn kind of drug out a little bit. It wasn't
Agree.
like, I feel like the past couple of years it was like summer and then all of a sudden winter and we didn't get the pretty changing. So it was really nice this year.
Yep.
We do have some exciting news.
Yes, we do.
Kind of political news. Lisa Marie Franchetti has been announced and put into play as the first female chief naval officer. Or chief naval operations, sorry. So that's kind of a historic moment. Pretty cool. Wanted to point that out as that is breaking news as we are recording this episode. Of course, by the time it's released, it might be old news, but definitely wanted to, mention that big moment in history.
Oh, yeah.
Commend her for that.
It's been a long march since Tailhook. Katelyn, you might be a little young for that story.
Yeah.
But that was one of my first cool, intersections in my career where there was a movie made later that starred an actress named Gail O'Grady, and it was called She Stood Alone. And it was about the woman who came forward in Tailhook. And a client that I was very proud to serve was portrayed in that TV movie by Bess Armstrong.
Oh, wow.
And, it's like, it was
cool.
made for TV. And I remember sitting there on the couch with my wife, pointing at it going, I know that person. How do you know? I can't tell you.
I can't tell you.
Because confidentiality is all. But it's like, yeah, so we've come a long way. Congratulations to the Admiral. And it's a good day.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. Well, we've got some interesting we've got an overview. Yeah, we do. It's an interesting episode today. We're going to talk, Dan's going to talk briefly about the Special Retirement Supplement, which is something that's been coming up more and more, actually, weirdly, in conversation this week with a couple of feds that I was talking with regarding planning. And then we're also going to go over, I'm going to talk about a couple bills that are kind of on the horizon that would impact federal employees if they were to move forward and be passed into law. So we're going to kind of cover a little bit of what's current events on the horizon and then a little bit of the bread and butter FERS benefits. Yep. So Dan, do you want to talk with us about that special supplement?
Absolutely. And riddle me this, Katelyn. Why do you think we have a special retirement supplement?
Well, I mean, the way that retirement is structured through the federal government does provide those who get in early with the option to retire earlier than the earliest they can accept and begin to collect Social Security. So perhaps it's a bit of a stopgap for that. That's kind of what I always assume.
You are 100% correct. So as FERS was being designed, they had the template of CSRS, which had people, being able to go out, practically in their mid-50s,
right,
with a certain level of service.
Right.
And they didn't want it to be completely different. So they didn't want it to be, okay, well, FERS, the earliest you can retire is 62.
Right.
So they still wanted to keep that. And then it's like, oh, wait, well, part of the FERS total package is going to be Social Security. What do we do? So that's why the Special Retirement Supplement was created. And I'll tell you, I have some mixed feelings about it. So I approach it intellectually from a standpoint of serving our clients. But then there's the human side of me that sees what happens when things are misunderstood. And as you know, Katelyn, and many of our listeners know, I do what I do because of a misunderstanding within my own family. My late father-in-law, had some misunderstandings about his benefits. So here's the tricky part of the Special Retirement Supplement. If you don't fully understand it and how it works, it can kind of be a trap. So I'm going to go through the nuts and bolts so we get to the understanding. And then if it's okay, I'll talk about, some of the warnings here. So It's designed to fill that gap if somebody retires at 57, for example, and can't claim until 62. It's going to be based on what the Social Security payment would be at 62, and then reduced actuarially year by year to go along with the younger age. Same as 62 would be less than 63, would be less than 64 for Social Security. Unlike Social Security, it is paid out by FERS, not the Social Security Administration. OPM administers the benefits. Okay. Now, a couple of rules and regs with it. You got to have at least 30 years of service and a minimum age requirement, or 20 years of service and be at least 60, or retire under special provisions, or retire under a Vera VSIP. Okay. So that's the general foundation. Okay. It is also only available with an immediate retirement, so you can't defer or postpone, and get it. Now, here's where you can have a couple of things that can trip you up. First, no COLAs. Now, that's a little bit of a double whammy because, Katelyn, as you know, if somebody retires under FERS before age 62, there's no COLA until 62.
Right.
Now you have one leg no COLA, second leg no COLA for up to 5 years. Now, Katelyn, you know as I do, we warned people about this 5 years ago and they laughed at us.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, there's no more inflation. Jeff Bezos keeps making everything less expensive. So, well, now, as we've seen, inflation can return with a vengeance. So think about if you were going 5 years without a COLA and your first 2 years of those 5 are these last 2. So you've got to be prepared for this. So if you want to go out with MRA, which generally means that you're going, in a lot of cases, if you're going out with MRA with the FERS supplement, you also need some massive retirement assets. That's the second MRA that you need in there. Okay. Here's the other thing. It's subject to an earnings test. And a lot of people will hear that and say, oh yeah, like Social Security, that's no big deal. Well, yes, it is. And here's why. If you claim Social Security at 62 and then you get a great job offer, you're going to take that great job offer. You're just going to do it. Okay. You make enough money, you can earn your way out of your Social Security benefit. However, they're going to recompute when you reach your full retirement age and start giving it back to you little by little. If you do the same thing with a special retirement supplement, and let's think about this, somebody's going out at 57, there's certainly some runway to work another 2, 3, 5, 7 years. Well, you get a nice deal with a new place, special retirement supplement gone, and it never comes back.
All right.
It doesn't come back. So folks, if you're considering this, hit us up at Serving Those Who Serve. Dead serious about this. If you are considering this and there's an offer on the table, hit us up, come in through the website, ask for consultation, because one of the things we've done for our clients for the years is help them quantify the fact that they're not going to get their special retirement supplement, and that needs to be included in the new deal from the new company.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot to this, and that's why I say it can turn into a trap. I'm not saying it's bad in any way, shape, or form, but you need to understand exactly how it works and then deploy it for your best interest.
Right.
And, of course, that's what we've been doing for nearly 40 years with folks to help them do that. So pass this one around, folks. Dead serious. Pass this podcast around, because SRS is out there. A lot of people are using it. A lot of people are counting on it. Don't be dissatisfied with it because you didn't know how it worked. That doesn't mean the problem is SRS. That means the problem is the education around it. We're putting this out there, so pass this around. That's it.
Definitely.
Off my soapbox now.
Yeah. No, SRS has come up, like it's been a topic that's kind of surfaced a lot recently. I've just had a couple meetings with vets who are kind of trying to navigate that and
Sure.
weigh pros and cons. And, there's a million things that go into a federal retirement. So definitely want to make sure that you're crossing all the T's and dotting all the I's and make sure you understand how everything fits together. That's the hard part. Understanding the individual intricacies is one thing, but how it fits together, that's a new level of complication.
Yep. Now, Katelyn, you've got some information on some kind of cool bills.
I do.
I am always in favor of bills that help our feds, and we don't see enough of them. So tell us about them.
Yeah, definitely. We have a hodgepodge. We have a menagerie of them today. So we're going to talk about 3 bills recently introduced that would certainly impact our feds. The first one is called the Federal Retirement Fairness Act. I like that name.
I'm a fan.
Yeah, it was reintroduced actually by Derek Kilmer, who is a Democrat from Washington. Currently, federal temporary service. So we talk about this a lot of times in our webinars, particularly our FERS webinar. Currently, if you had temporary service, if you worked for USPS, during the summer when you were in college, if you worked for USPS, during the holidays, as a teenager or as a early 20s, those are examples of temporary service that you would have had through the federal government. Currently, the way that things are structured, only temporary service that took place before 1989 can count towards your FERS eligibility or your retirement calculation, the calculation of your SCD. If this bill was passed, all temporary service, regardless of the year, could be used to help feds retire sooner and oftentimes boost their pension income.
Sure.
Because they would have, more service going into that calculation. So obviously, Serving Those Who Serve is fully in support of this piece of legislation because it would take away that sort of arbitrary, 1989 number that came about, as FERS was being developed. They kind of picked that date. We got stuck on it. So I think that there is definitely a need to revise.
I think it has to move now, Katelyn, because if you think about where a lot of this temporary service occurs, as you correctly identify, it's going to happen while people are in college. So if we go back to 1989 from today, these are now people in their mid-50s.
Exactly.
So pretty soon you're only going to be counting temporary service from people who are in their 60s and 70s and 80s, which means you're not counting it at all. So I think it's something that needs to slide.
Definitely.
Yep.
There's
Good
also
job.
There's also on the horizon the Parity for Tribal Educators Act. So this was introduced by Gabe Vasquez from New Mexico. This would allow 10,000 teachers from tribally controlled schools to participate in FERS and the TSP. Now, this would be a pretty momentous occasion if passed, because this would mark the first time ever that non-feds would have access to both FERS and the TSP. Now, currently, these teachers from tribal schools run by the federal government are considered federal employees, and they already participate in FERS and the TSP, the Department of the Interior would basically provide government TSP match and the agency portion of FERS contributions.
Well, this is picking up an important chunk of the educational system that is out there for First Nations.
Yeah.
Because the ones that are in tribal schools do not have that underpinning, but they're performing the same tasks. So
exactly. Yeah. So it's kind of a equalizing type of legislation. The TSP board basically said that they have no objections to this bill. So they are on board. I think this would be a cool one to see passed just because, two reasons. One, equalizing and kind of giving everybody the same access to FERS and TSP, but then also the first time ever that, non-feds would have access. I think that would be really interesting to see.
Well, non-feds doing federal work.
Right. Non-feds who are doing Fed jobs work. Because of course, the key there is that the tribally controlled schools are run by the federal government.
Yep.
So, and then the third bill, the Honoring Civil Servants Killed in the Line of Duty Act. Now, this one was introduced by Virginia's own Jerry Connolly and Brian Fitzpatrick. Yeah, and Brian Fitzpatrick of PA in the House. And then in the Senate, it's being backed by Kristen Sinema from Arizona. So this
so we're tripartisan.
Yeah.
Not just bipartisan.
Tripartisan bill. Very interesting.
I like that.
Now, the Honoring Civil Servants Killed in the Line of Duty Act would increase the on-duty death benefit for civilian feds from $10,000 to $100,000. Very important step up given inflation. And a lot of times what we see are these death benefits are based off of decades ago numbers as opposed to 2023 numbers. So it would step up the on-duty death benefit. It would also, that would bring that in line a little closer to military and foreign service members' death benefit because their benefit is a little closer to $100,000. The last time that we actually updated the death benefit for these folks was in 1997. So if you consider, if you consider the value of $10,000 in 1997, the value of $10,000 in 2023, obviously we've had a ton of inflation since then, and it really does need to be adjusted. I would love to see the additional benefit of like an inflation adjustment or inflation rider where that number actually tracks year to year and actually goes up over time. But that's probably a little bit more complicated to put into play. The other kind of added benefit there is the funeral cost benefit would also be multiplied by 10. So instead of $800, we'd be looking at $8,000. And I don't know if anybody listening has ever planned a funeral, but
that's way overdue.
Yeah. Definitely overdue. So 3 really interesting pieces of legislation, have a lot of potential benefits for our feds, and we're in full support.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, that's a lot, but that's about all we have time for today, folks. But we'll be back next week to bring you the latest updates that you need to make informed decisions about your career and financial well-being as a Fed.
Absolutely. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast on our YouTube channel, Fed Life, so that you never miss an episode. We're also on Spotify. You can grab us there if you're an audio-only type person. And please do remember to share it with your friends and colleagues.
And for more information on the topics we covered today, you can find the underlying articles and more. Check out our blog at blog.stwserve.com and subscribe to the newsletter, the weekly serving. You'll get all the latest news for feds, our best stuff delivered to your inbox every single week. Don't have to do nothing.
Absolutely. And for those who want to dive even deeper into learning about your federal benefits and financial planning for feds, we encourage you to join us for one of our complimentary webinars. We've got some really exciting webinars coming up. I am very excited for our special event. It's our FEHB open enrollment webinar. Now that's going to be on November 28th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
Yep.
It is different from our normal FEHB learning about your benefits type webinar. We are hosting this one specifically with open enrollment in mind. And Ed Zerndorfer, kind of our federal benefits expert, is going to be on the line, talking through specific eccentricities to do with open enrollment and FEHB. If you are looking to potentially make changes to your coverage this open enrollment season, definitely do not miss this webinar. November 28th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's free. Come join us. It'll be a good time. I guarantee you'll learn something. And then another topic that we're covering, maybe like less timely, maybe more timely, estate planning for feds. That's going to be on December 7th from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. I joked
Only
with Dan.
place you're going to find this stuff, folks. Only place. Yep.
Yeah. Estate planning for feds is a really niche topic, but we do like to kind of bring this one. It's really important. I know estate planning can be a little bit of a drag as far as, topics go, but it's really important. And particularly, I think heading into the holiday season when you're spending time with friends and family, like it's a good thing to kind of think about heading into that season, I think. I mean, at least for me, I always think estate planning for me has a direct line to like family and taking care of family,
Sure.
Crossing all your T's, dotting all your I's, and making sure that if something happens to you.
I was a little worried there, Katelyn. I thought you were going to go
about.
for, you took the last slice of pumpkin or pecan pie, so I'm cutting you out of the will. So
Hey, man, sometimes you got to rewrite the will. You know what I'm saying? Depending on how Thanksgiving goes, let everybody know.
Gotcha.
I've got this estate planning webinar coming up on December 7th. So
there we go.
Be on your best behavior. Yes. So please do check out the webinars. If you prefer a one-on-one approach, or if you're kind of in the market for a financial advisor, you kind of know that you want to work with somebody one-on-one and do some more detailed, specific, personalized planning, you can always reach out to us directly for a financial planning consultation. The email on that is askstws@stwserve.com, and we'd be happy to talk with you about whatever your niche planning needs are.
Absolutely. You deserve a Fed-focused advisor, not just a Fed-accepting advisor. There's plenty of people out there. Oh, sure, we'll talk to you. They know nothing.
Yeah.
Sorry, folks. They don't. They know nothing. So on that note, thanks for listening to the Fed15 this week. I'm Dan Sipe.
And I'm Katelyn Murray.
And we will see you
next time.
There you go.